government gave us assurance that at the community level, they were going to have meaningful consultation, open it up more.
The politicians are the superstars in our society.
That is what tends to be the
problem.
situation.
The politicians are the superstars, just like maybe in Europe it's film stars. In Ghana, the politicians are the ones that are of interest.
Yes, but you see, if even we can have a common front, even among the politicians, then there's a way in which the national agenda can be championed. That is, if you have CPP, MPP, and NDC coming together to commonly look at the issue. But then you have a winner-takes-all approach. So MPP actually did the previous oil policy
it might be a
almost
good
exclusively.
Yeah.
It might be a good thing, but because NDC was not involved, they come into power, they want to throw it away and do their own thing.
And that happens now.
Yeah, and that's the reason there's
now
all this delay.
There's discussions in Parliament.
Yeah.
They happen at the level of people that belong to the party, and people want ranking members to join, but the ranking members are for the opposition, so maybe they should. That's what you're talking about. This kind of thing.
So it's this kind of dynamics that really draw us back as a country.
Yeah.
Two, whenever we say we're having consultations over policy, legislative documents, and other things, that consultation must be meaningful. For that consultation to be meaningful, it means people must have prior access to the documentation.
Absolutely.
Currently, I know the Ministry of Finance is doing some consultations on the National Petroleum Regulatory Management, Revenue Management Bill,
yes.
and yet people do not have access to this document.
You haven't seen this bill.
I haven't seen it.
Have they published it?
They haven't.
So
what they have published is a timetable for the consultations. So I come to the consultation not having read the document in advance. What kind of meaningful consultations can you have in this circumstance?
That's part of the reason that I think the companies had difficulty with the community when they went to do environmental impact assessment. Exactly. Again, the people were saying they thought it was not done properly.
Yeah, I think I agree with them. It wasn't done properly. In fact, I'm one of those who raised red flags over the IFC's approval of the $215 million loan for Cosmos and Tullow, because we thought that that loan was being approved in contravention of the IFC's own rules, which requires an environmental impact assessment to be conducted.
But that's been done. Right?
Yeah, exactly. That has been done, but then one need to also kind of interrogate the quality of that process, because the consultations, one, were not very meaningful. Okay, and two, we have questions about the quality of the impact assessment itself. For instance, most of the data they relied on.
Why didn't you offer your ideas to them before? Why are you now saying they didn't do it well enough? That's perhaps part of the problem too.
David, I was in Washington personally to meet with IFC director and Ghana's representative on the IFC board. And I had the opportunity of registering these concerns. And so it's not like you haven't told them. And every now and then, we've actually made our concerns known. It's just that people might just want to disregard sometimes your concerns. And we only take them when they think their political capital is at stake.
Better than cream cheese and bagels, better than honey on bread, better than champagne and pretzels, better than breakfast in bed, better than chili rellenos, better than chocolate eclairs, better than hothouse tomatoes, better than fresh bartlett pears, better than dining a la carte or simply gastronomic art, better than anything except being in love. So much better, better than anything.
Are you in need of credible and relevant business information to make vital decisions? Or do you wish to reach Ghana's upmarket business and consumer segment with your product and services? Subscribe to and advertise in Business and Financial Times today, Africa's leading source of credible and relevant business information. For enquiries, contact 021-785-36627 or visit www.thebftonline.com.
We need extractive industry and we can benefit from it, can't we, Steve?
I believe we can, because even here in Africa, there are countries that have been able to use the extractive industry to turn the economy around, and Botswana is one of them. And Botswana has a huge stake in Botswana, which is the holding company of Botswana, the main diamond producer in Botswana. So there's a way in which, if we ensure that our interests are well protected in the scheme of things, we as a country can actually maximize our
Like
benefits.
some cocoa marketing board institutions. Is that the one you mean?
Well, not necessarily kind of cocoa marketing board institution, but you do have a stake not only in the marketing of the commodity, but even in the production itself. And I had a meeting in...
Yeah, but in cocoa, the production is by the Ghanaians.
The Ghanaians, no, exactly, but then you
but
need to...
they go by the...
By foreigners. And the reason South Africa is often touted as one country that can demonstrate the benefits of mining.
Yeah.
But then it is so because in South Africa, the gold sector is dominated by South African mining companies. Yes. And therefore, whatever profit they make remains in the country to develop that country. There's a way in which we must ensure that the way we perceive the natural resource sector changes fundamentally. We must see, for instance, our natural resource as an opportunity for asset transformation.
But we have to be competitive. We have to be educated. We have to be able to. Because I tell you, you're right. But as you said, I think about it when you describe Johannesburg, for example. Yeah. And there is no question that there was big investment in people, you know, in a real sense. Yeah. So the expertise is there, you know, in every real sense. And, and maybe if we devoted some time to focusing on the expertise, again, making sure that we have people trained in this business, then we can talk about X, Y, Z. Don't you think so?
I think so. Yeah. And I agree very well that we need to really be as active in the production of the resource and as active in the management and of that revenue, and make sure that that revenue is turned around to the benefit of the larger masses.
Yeah. But you're right a lot about, I think one of the big things you mentioned is about policy. Because if you think about it and look at what happened with mining, as you say, there's no real secondary industry developed. It's also partly because the government never required the companies to do that. Would you say that?
See,
it never, because if you want it to happen, you fashion out laws, you provide incentives, you use this is business. You provide people incentives, you let them understand what it is that, things that where they feel comfortable with it, even with the return, but it suits you.
Yeah, but
well.
David, you see, we decided as a country to be rent collectors in the mining sector. That's what we do. We just are happy enough to collect the taxes, the royalties, and leave the mining company to do.
And maybe that's not even a bad idea, but the point is you don't even collect it.
Certainly.
Did you see the point I'm making? You see, I'm saying it's one thing to say...
No, but it's a bad idea.